lawyers representing the cop who shot Philando Castile in Minnesota are claiming an interesting defense. Now, an autopsy report indicated that Castile had THC in his system. And of course, THC is one of the components of marijuana. It's a component of marijuana that can stay in your system for a very long time after you've used marijuana. Now, the attorneys for St. Anthony Police Officer Jeronimo Yanez are making the THC found in Castile's blood during the autopsy a key part of their defense. Now, the attorneys are arguing that Castile was high on pot when he was pulled over this past July, which resulted in him supposedly ignoring Yanez's commands and staring straight ahead during the traffic stop, thus making him culpably negligent in the incident. The officer's attorneys also argue that Castile had no right to carry a firearm despite having a permit to carry one, because narcotic users are not eligible to own, let alone carry a firearm on their person. Now, key components of this story that I want to remind you guys about, this shooting did take place in Minnesota, and essentially Castile was stopped during a routine traffic stop, and he was very clear with the police officer about the fact that he had a gun in the car, a gun that he was licensed to own. And so the officer had asked him for his ID, and as he reached for his ID, the cop shot and killed him, okay? Now, I'm glad this is going to trial because we don't have all the facts, so I'm curious to see how this goes. But this defense is crazy when you consider the fact that Minnesota is an open carry state. In fact, they allow open carry in bars as long as the owners of those bars are okay with it. So they're okay with individuals drinking alcohol, carrying guns. But if you have THC in your system, well, that makes you culpably negligent.
Okay, so I'm going to pick that defense apart in a second. But in case you haven't seen the video, I want you to just take a quick look at the video and it gives you a sense of how heartbreaking this situation is and how it went down. Let's take a look.
Stay with me. We got pulled over for a busted tail light in the back, and the police he's covered. They killed my boyfriend. He's licensed. He's licensed to carry. He was trying to get out his ID and his wallet out his pocket, and he let the officer know that he had a firearm and he was reaching for his wallet, and the officer just shot him in his arm. We're waiting for a back. I will, sir. No worries. I will. Fuck. He just shot his arm off. We got pulled over on Larpener.
I told him not to reach for it. I told him to get his hand out.
You told him to get his ID, sir, and his driver's license. Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead. Please don't tell me my boyfriend just went like that.
Just keep your hands where they are, please.
Yes, I will, sir. I'll keep my hands where they are. Please don't tell me this, Lord. Please, Jesus, don't tell me that he's gone. Please don't tell me that he's gone. Please, officer, don't tell me that you just did this to him. You shot 4 bullets into him, sir. He was just getting his license and registration, sir.
And of course, he did die. They did not, of course, as usual, do CPR on him or in any way try to help him until, ambulances came much later. Because no, he's still a threat. Even though we just put all those bullets in him, he's still a threat. Okay, now, this defense is predictable but crazy. So it's predictable because the first thing cops look for when they shoot someone, or even if it's not them, like Zimmerman when he shot Trayvon Martinez. Okay, let's try to blame the victim. So what's the easiest thing? Marijuana. Because so many Americans smoke marijuana. So now it's the same as having a beer, as Anna pointed out.
No, it's not the same as having a beer. Having a beer, I would argue, or not having a beer, but drinking, I would argue, would make you much more likely to react violently in certain situations, depending on how alcohol impacts you. Marijuana does not make you a violent person. I am a user of marijuana, and it doesn't make me violent or erratic or crazy. In fact, it makes me very calm and makes me relax. So.
And all of you out there who smoke marijuana, whether you're right wing or left wing, if a cop ever executes you, they'll just say, "Oh, he smoked pot," so that's okay. That's my defense. He was negligent because at one point he smoked pot. Now I say at one point because THC stays in your system for 40 days. So he might have had a joint 38 days ago.
Yeah.
and then they say, oh, no, he's culpable. It's him. He smoked pot once, right?
I want to be absolutely clear. I mean, it really depends on how often you smoke, how much you smoke. But yes, it stays in your system for a long time.
Right. Now, it doesn't mean that it affects you for a long time. It just stays in your system so that when they, after they kill you, they can say, oh, yeah, you see that? He smoked it at some point in the last 40 days. Okay, now to me, the quote there of Philando Castile, the person who was killed, being accused of, quote, staring straight ahead during the traffic stop. They're saying that's what made him culpably negligent. They said, oh, he must have been high. He was staring straight ahead. If he was staring erratically at different places, you would have said, oh, yeah, you see that? He's high, staring at different places. Or if he was staring at the cop, you'd say, oh, he was staring at me menacingly. Where can you look? This is looking while black, right? Where could he have put his eyes where you wouldn't have shot him and killed him? Staring straight ahead. They actually literally put that in their defense.
I want to be clear about something, okay? These types of shootings, as you can tell based on all the stories that have been covered and all the stories that came out, disproportionately impact minorities, specifically black people. However, this is not a problem that only affects the African American community or the black community. This is a problem that affects every single one of us. Because if we're living in this state of paranoia where there are guns everywhere, right? The accessibility of guns is pretty ridiculous. And as a result, cops are very, very paranoid. Every single one of us can be a victim of what happened here, right? A cop can shoot and kill me, right? And I smoke marijuana. I have THC in my system. They could easily demonize me as a violent criminal, someone who's not a law-abiding citizen. And that scares the hell out of me, and it should scare the hell out of everyone in this country.
It's one of the most popular recreational, I say drugs, but I mean, alcohol is a drug.
Caffeine is a drug.
Prescription drugs, all that stuff. But if you smoke pot, they get to kill you and then later say you were negligent for your own death because you were looking after having smoked pot 40 days ago or sometime in the last 40 days. And finally, this whole pot excuse is so ridiculous. He says, well, he can't carry a firearm if he had narcotics on him, but you didn't know he had pot on him. When you shot him, you had no idea that he had pot. Later, you find pot as an excuse in his system from sometime in the last 40 days, and you go, oh, you see that? I'm allowed to shoot him. That had nothing to do with the shooting.
This happened in July. And we're not hearing about this pot thing until today. Let me tell you, if pot had been a factor, the defining factor in the case when the shooting happened, we would be hearing about it in July. But we're hearing about it today because they are looking for any and every excuse to demonize this guy to warrant his murder.
We need independent media to make sure that we hold corporate media accountable. The people that can make that happen is you. You make the Young Turks possible. tytnetwork.com/join. Join us. Be the revolution.